Welcome back. Now, South Africa's has an extensive transport system that includes buses, trains and minibus taxis. In the past, the country experienced quite a spike in vandalism and theft of public infrastructure. Now, with October being Transport Month, we reflect on the state of transport infrastructure in South Africa and the impact of vandalism and the theft and how this can be prevented. Let's now unpack this further with the Engineering and Training Middle East and Africa Manager at the Axis Communications RudieOpperman online. A very good morning to Mr. Opperman. Thanks for joining us. Welcome to the agenda.
Good morning. Thank you. It's good to be here, and it's good to talk about this important topic.
I agree with you. It's certainly very important. And as we mark Transport Month, I mean, South Africa continues to grapple with both legacy and emerging challenges in the transport network, from trains to buses, and of course the critical minibus taxi system. So, from your vantage point, how would you assess the current state of South Africa's transport infrastructure?
Of course, we have infrastructure that works. I mean, there is stuff that works, and we can celebrate that. But we also think there's a lot that can be done, and there are some issues that we need to deal with. And if you look at let's say cable theft, for instance, every time that happens, it's not just damage to an infrastructure, but it's really an impact on our economy. And I mean, you can say the same for the roads. If traffic lights aren't working and the roads aren't up to standard, that's a direct impact on the public, on the economy. We believe there are some things to be done that could improve the situation.
Yeah, and public transport is often referred to as the backbone of South Africa's economy, yet chronic vandalism, cable theft, infrastructure sabotage and so on have significantly disrupted services. So how do these disruptions ripple across not just transport operations, but also the economic productivity and public trust in the system?
Yeah, of course. I mean, many have said that the roads and the railway infrastructure is, you could say, is the lifeblood of the economy and the country. So the impact definitely has a rippling effect. It negatively impacts the ability for South Africa to be competitive on the world stage, but it also hurts communities and local South Africans to have access, to be mobile, and to take part in the economy. So there are many ways that it can negatively impact the economy if it's not up to standard and if roads and rail is disrupted. Of course, our port systems as well. If our ports can be really competitive and bring costs down and downtime down to as much as possible, we can also be competitive for the shipping routes of ships coming around our coastline.
Yeah, and South Africa's transport entities, particularly PRASA and Metro Rail, have seen, quite billions of rands in losses due to vandalism and theft. But from an engineering and systems security perspective, what are the biggest vulnerabilities in our transport network that enable this scale of damage? In short, from a technical perspective, what are the most common security blind spots that allow such crimes to happen undetected or even unresolved?
Yeah, I have to start by saying that, cable theft is not a South African problem only. It's if you look at the global stage, this happens in other countries as well. So we are not unique. But of course, it's a big problem that we have to deal with. And I think we need to shift our mindset from being reactive to being a little bit more proactive. And, if you can detect an anomaly or something that's about to happen and you could prevent it as much as possible, that could, of course, then you start winning. We think that, of course, when we look at where railway lines are very dense, close to your urban areas, normally those are the hotspots that we see. And of course, we've seen where thermal technology with AI-enabled detection algorithms do very well 24/7, day and night, to detect people in unwanted areas, and then you could prevent it. So you could not only monitor in real time and do as much to prevent it as possible, but one can also gather a lot of statistics and to see where the hotspots are and where disruptions occur more frequently. And this allows law enforcement and other regulatory authorities to make some smart decisions and to adopt our strategy and be one step ahead. So technology can play, it can give us a lot of value, and it can play a very big role in being proactive and combating this big problem.
Well, some may argue that the lack of real-time surveillance and the integrated monitoring systems has worsened the situation. So what are perhaps the most effective technologies really, or approaches today for early detection and deterrence of vandalism or theft? And how could these be practically implemented in the South African context?
Of course, in a practical way, we can also look at what has been done in other countries and even in Africa as well. You know, we've had some real good successes with perimeter detection using thermal technology. We've seen some smart radar systems also monitoring large zones to detect the movement of people and vehicles. So you could, again, like I said, you could look at anomalies that are outside of the normal and then respond very early. And of course, we've seen AI in recent years with computer vision, where we're extracting a lot of data out of a video image. And this data is then an extra layer of information that can be used to make decisions and to react very quickly. So, yeah, this is where we come in. We're an innovator in this space, and we are very happy to share with those who are willing to listen and have discussions with us about the details of the implementation of these systems. And I will also say that, you know, of course, these systems can really help, but indirectly, these systems also create another advantage. You know, we can create jobs as well, because these smart systems require skilled technicians to be able to install and maintain. And you need data analysts to be able to consume the data and put it into action. So it can really, on many ways, smart technology can actually help South Africa by not just protecting and being proactive, but also creating jobs.
Now, passenger safety has become a growing concern, from unsafe stations and buses to vulnerable taxi rank. And it begs the question, Mr. Opperman, how can the modern surveillance and monitoring technologies actually help restore a sense of safety and order in these spaces for daily commuters?
Yeah, I think as the public starts to realize that technology is helping to prevent unwanted situations, and the more frequently this happens, and I mean, there are successes. You know, we've had, together with our partners, we've done a lot on the Gautrain by adding surveillance technology to prevent, to detect anomalies, to ensure that passengers and commuters are safe, you know, as they on board, off board, and also as they move in those facilities. And that's really important. And, you know, we think more can be done, and we're happy to share the successes that we have seen. And to create awareness, of course, we know that more can be done.
Now, finally, you've been at the forefront of AI-powered surveillance, smart analytics and networked monitoring. Perhaps if you could just break down for us, if you can, how these tools practically work in deterring and responding to vandalism or criminal activity in real time.
Yeah, sure. I think everybody knows what a surveillance camera is, but what we've seen in recent years is these cameras have intelligence that's on the device itself, and it can analyze the video stream. So it can detect objects, people, behavior. And what happens then is you create a layer of data that could be used in real time. So operators could be alerted before an incident happens. And I'm talking about surveillance cameras, like you said, on train stations, on the roads, remote areas where it's really difficult to have people there all the time.
Yeah.
So there are many ways that we can use smart surveillance technology to alert early, to detect, and also to gather data, to be able to make decisions for the future.
Now, what message would you send to the government, the municipalities and transport operators this Transport Month about the urgent need to sort of modernize security in the sector, not just as a deterrent to crime, but as a foundation for rebuilding commuter confidence and economic resilience?
Yeah, of course, we would urge that we keep on talking, we keep on sharing ideas. We learn from other countries that have successfully deployed this. This is not a theory. We have seen in practice that it definitely works. And if you use technology and you start preventing, and it creates a very positive snowball effect. So where the economy can really benefit and start to ramp up, and we can create more jobs. Our ports, our rail, everything works and functions better, and we become competitive. South Africans are well known to be very hardworking, and we think outside the box. And I think we need our government to give us the opportunity so that we can work with the private sector and really come up with very innovative ideas to make this country work for everybody.
All right, Mr. Opperman, great chatting to you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
All right, that was Engineering and Training Middle East and Africa Manager at Axis Communications, RudieOpperman.